What's up, everybody? Unpwned here. Whew. Alright, so I had a few people ask me what build I was running during the Invitational on my Mana Warrior. So I wanted to make a quick little video on what I was running and why, and go from there. I'm also in the works. I'm going to make a few instructional videos based off of all of the classes and abilities in each school of magic. Instead of making a video per class, I'm just going to head and cover an entire school of magic, go over each individual ability, what it's good at, what it's bad at, and let you decide what kind of combinations you would like to use. Because with the changes and how the game is currently progressing, it's going to be very hard to make a video about, hey, this is a good build for this class, because one slight change to any ability, it will completely change that and all the other classes. So I think it will just be better to go over all abilities in a school of magic, and then from now forward, if there's any changes, we'll just go over like patch notes and go from there. So onto this Mana Warrior build. So first off, for the first piece of gear I was running, I was switching out either between having anti-breach or arcane charge doing 200 AoE damage. If we were facing someone with no breaches, you were probably better off going with the 200 AoE damage. This lets you take out the grunt minions in the kill rooms in the beginning much faster. The only time you wouldn't want this is on Giza when running the artifacts. Then you might just want to go for the cleave stacks to be able to keep that room pretty clear and protect whoever is running the artifacts. So basically, it was all dependent on what we were facing. If you were facing someone with breaches, like She's the Sorrow build, you wanted anti-breach immediately, so that way you weren't going to get shoved into a corner and spikes shoved under you or get caged, anything of that sort. But if we were not facing a breach build, it was definitely better to go with the arcane charge, doing AoE impact damage to clear the room as fast as possible. Now, for the second talent was basically going to be whatever you didn't pick up on the first talent, unless you weren't facing a breacher. So if you are not facing someone with breaches, then you would immediately just go for the cleave. And for the third talent, we are just going with Arcane Charge, grants you 30% haste. Because we are not running the haste gems, we need the haste from this Arcane Charge. And with the fourth talent, 90% of the time being Arcane Charge no longer has a cooldown, but a 5-meter distance radius. You're basically going to have 30% haste uptime the entire rest of the match after level 4. So this allows you to really hard counter Giza and Tokyo. With this build, in Tokyo, you can one-shot the orbs on the Oni boss, and if they're close enough, because your Arcane Charge is AoE, you will one-shot multiple orbs if they are close enough, and it is great. Giza, you can just ping-pong between the two obelisks and take them down super fast. Now, because we have that 30% haste from the third talent, this lets us open up our 2 red gems for flat damage. So let's kind of go over the gems now. So, as most people probably already know, blue gems are almost always going to be the flat health increase. There's almost no other blue gem that beats them. They are just insanely good. They're the meta. Until something changes in the blue gems, nothing else is worth it. Only specific builds like maybe Bloodstalker to stay high health with resist would be better, but other than that, flat health. For the red gems, we are running 7.5% bonus AoE damage. This gives us a 15% increased damage to every single ability we're using. Literally every single ability. Once we get the AoE on Arcane Charge, it also buffs the Arcane Charge. So, as you'll see, going over each of the abilities, they all are AoE. So this gives us a 15% flat increased damage across the board, except for our auto attacks, which that doesn't matter too much. For the prismatic gems, I went with Cyclone Blade, gives a 40% increased damage for only a 25% increased cooldown on our Cyclone Blade. We are only going to be using Cyclone Blade basically to take out structures and objectives. Very rarely are you going to use it on mobs, unless you are facing against a Veil Demon that is not using Watchers or Walls or anything. But whenever you're facing, say, Ra, you're going to want to use Cyclone Blade on the obelisks, and it does have quite a long cooldown, so you're going to want to use it in very specific moments. For our second prismatic, we are running Bastard Cleave Charge Rate. This reduces the Bastard Cleave required damage taken to reach 6 stacks in half, and also reduces its damage in half. Now that Bastard Cleave no longer heals you, you don't exactly want to try and take 1400 damage to get 6 stacks. So with this, you only have to take 700 damage. It does half the damage, but it's okay. Because another upside to this is 6 stacks of Bastard Cleave, even with the Prismatic Gem, still generates the same amount of ultimate charge as 6 stacks without the gem. So it's actually pretty helpful. It helps you generate your ultimate faster than before. Now for our abilities, we are of course running Arcane Charge, which lets you charge at an enemy, dealing high impact damage, 200 high impact damage. Our second ability is Bastard Cleave, which gains stacks per how much damage you take. This also includes if you have a shield on. If that shield is taking damage, that still adds to your stacks. You do not have to take health damage to gain Bastard Cleave stacks. For our third ability, we are running Cyclone Blade, which does 510 very high impact damage over 2.5 seconds. This ability is amazing for taking out any structures, watchers, walls, anything like that. And with the Prismatic Gem, it hits like a truck. For our ultimate, we are running the Strike of Aegis, the Vanguard ultimate. This is great for kill rooms, pulling everything in, coordinated with your teammates to AoE everything down in an instant. It can also be used to peel mobs off of teammates that are trying to res. This will pull elites in. So it is very useful to protect teammates in clutch moments. And of course, our signature is the Mana Warrior signature, Mana Strike. 4-second cooldown, does AoE damage. You gain a 10% of your max health shield per enemy hit that lasts for 8 seconds, up to 50% of your health. We're almost at 5000 HP, so you can basically consistently keep up a 2k shield that can normally absorb almost any blow as long as you are using your Mana Strike consistently. The reason I am going with Mana Warrior over Vanguard is the Vanguard signature, it only absorbs 1000 damage, and it has a 10-second cooldown. And not only that, but it locks you in place for 2 seconds. So you're nowhere near as mobile, and I just kind of feel like a sitting duck with it. Whereas with the Mana Strike, as long as you're hitting, if you hit a minimum of 2 enemies, you're already almost absorbing the same amount of damage that the Vanguard signature absorbs, except it's going to last 4 times longer than the Vanguard signature. And you're mobile. After you do Mana Strike, you can immediately go to auto-attacking, running around, doing whatever you need to do. Not to mention, it's also doing damage. So overall, Mana Strike is just better in any situation than the Vanguard alt. Or, well, not alt, but signature. But yeah, this is what I was running during the tournament. It basically covered all situations. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or anything at all, please leave them below. I'll catch you guys next time.